Hey family, thank you for connecting with Celebrating Right. Today we're going to talk about the cost of in vitro fertilization. Make sure you click like and subscribe. If you've been looking online for the cost of assisted reproductive technologies like IVF, it's so hard to find. And I remember searching and not being able to get a clear answer. And there's a reason for that. It really is unique to your situation. The average cost of in vitro fertilization in the United States is about $20,000 for one round. And one round is inclusive of the egg retrieval and placing the embryo inside. I was fortunate to have my IVF cycles covered through my insurance, through my employer. So my cost would look a little bit different than someone who worked out a plan with their fertility clinic, or even someone else who has their insurance covering theirs. It just depends on the contracts that your insurance provider has with the particular fertility clinic. So my insurance covered 80% of 2 IVF full cycles. My husband and I only went through 1 full cycle. When we started, we were already close to exceeding our annual deductible and coinsurance. So keep in mind the pricing I'm giving you. It would have been an additional $3,000 plus if we had not already reached our annual deductible and almost maxed out our coinsurance. So keep in mind that those are the costs that we would have had to pay for IVF if we didn't have other medical needs that covered those deductibles. If you are paying cash for IVF, keep in mind that many clinics do offer different discounts based off of your household annual income, as well as different programs and rebates. And there are even grants out there to help people grow their families. Now, as I mentioned in my previous video, and you can just click below and take a look at that for understanding why my husband and I decided to go with IVF. But we did our consultation back in June 2019, and we made the decision to move forward with IVF in July 2019, following about a year or so of secondary infertility. To track the detailed cost of our IVF experience, I kept a chart, a spreadsheet in Excel, but also looking at the estimate of benefits through my insurance, as well as going back into my clinic's portal to look at the charges that I paid. That's really how I collected the details around what I paid for my 1 round of IVF. I'll make sure to put a chart towards the end or somewhere inserted in this video so you all can track the costs. So looking at the first half cycle, when we made the decision to move forward with IVF, we were given several modules to understand the process, and there were several screening processes that occurred. So the cost for the initial consultations and the initial appointments with my insurance was actually under $200. And again, this is relative to us already meeting our deductible and coinsurance. I was required to do an HSG, the hysterosalpingogram. I hope I said that right. And that cost with my insurance was $59.80. And I do know, looking at the estimate of benefits, that my insurance was charged $500. So you can see the difference between what was charged to the insurance company versus what I was obligated to actually pay. We did move forward with intracytoplasmic sperm injections, or ICSI, and that was an additional $500. We also wanted to have PGS testing on the embryos themselves. That was not covered with our insurance, but we wanted to look at the viability of our embryos once they reach their 5 or 6 days. So that cost, again, was not covered by the insurance, and it was $2,650. The IVF medication required us to work with a specialty pharmacy. I do know that they had some issues identifying my eligibility, and quoted me the cost without insurance, and it was around $2,500. Once we figured out what the issue was and it was clearly covered by my insurance, the cost that I paid for the egg retrieval medication was $475. The cost for monitoring me during this stimulation process for the egg follicles was $1,348, and that was several weeks of being monitored, and it was, you know, an intensive period, and I'll talk through that in another video. But that was again $1,348. The annual cost of freezing the embryos is $1,800. This was not covered with my insurance, but it's something that we decided to do since we wanted to do the PGS testing. The cost for the actual egg retrieval procedure was, for me, through my insurance, no cost, but was actually billed was $6,300, and that would. So the total cost for the first half of the cycle was $7,025. So as you can imagine, at this point, we've definitely reached our deductible in our co-insurance and only paying 80% at this point for the procedures moving forward. The second half of the full cycle for IVF was a bit more streamlined than the first. The cost for the specialty pharmacy was $370, and the medication purpose was to prepare my body for the frozen embryo transfer. And the cost for the frozen embryo transfer was $483. That makes the total for my second half of the full cycle $630.65. So the total cost of IVF, with my insurance covering 80% of the procedure, was $7,655.34. And even though my insurance covered a significant portion of the procedures, it still was a significant investment to have IVF. The opportunity to grow a family is a blessing. I know we're looking at this with numbers, looking at dollars and cents, but truly it is something that a lot of women desire to have, a lot of families desire to have, and is absolutely worth every penny. Click like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to know when I post a new video.